Hi, and welcome to Teaching Tip Tuesday, brought to you by the Center for Inclusive Teaching and Learning at UWSP. Although UWSP boasts a relatively modest average class size of 27 on our website, many instructors do teach large sections. These are especially common for introductory courses that fulfill GEP categories. If you are or will be teaching large classes, it's good to review some solutions to common large class teaching challenges. Large classes present faculty with different problems than smaller classes. Although research has shown that building relationships with faculty is integral to student success, it's much harder for faculty to cultivate positive relationships with students when facing 100 of them rather than facing the average class size of 27. This is related to a greater feeling of anonymity among students, which can lead to waning attendance in class over time, since students figure you're not going to notice that they aren't there. The large class size and physical distance between the instructor and the students can lead to greater distraction, either by electronic devices or by those sitting nearby, which leads to less attention paid during class. Finally, it's just harder to engage students, to get them to talk or to ask questions. So, what's an instructor supposed to do? I'll give you some specific strategies to engage with each of these problems, but keep in mind that most strategies will have positive impact across the board. Let's start with building relationships. Students often cite the inability to form a relationship with the faculty member as the biggest drawback to being in a large class. Ironically, our large courses tend to occur at lower levels of the academic progression, which is when we should be working hardest to build up relationships between faculty and students to really engage with those students and rope them into a meaningful university experience. How can you do that in a large class? There are some strategies. You might want to try name tents. They can be very helpful. Have students make name tents out of note cards and put them up in front of themselves during lecture. That way, when students do engage with you or ask you a question, you can identify who they are. Incentivize coming to office hours. It's easy to unintentionally give off the vibe that if students don't bug you, you won't bug them. It can help if you make it clear that not only is it not bugging you to come to office hours, but it's actually valued by you when students make contact with you in office hours. Scheduling groups of 3 or 4 students at a time with an online booking may allow you to meet each of your students within the first month of classes, even though there are a lot of them. You may also wish to try getting a little bit personal with your students. Whether you realize it or not, you're sort of like the great and powerful Oz to your students. You know everything and you hold their fate in your hands. They will be, whether you want them to be or not, a little bit intimidated by you. You'll find that it's easier for them to open up to you if they see you as a person, not just as a role. So it can be very beneficial to share with your students stories from your own school experiences and things that were hard for you to learn, or other things that will make you more relatable, like the antics of your pets, or something weird that happened to your car last weekend, or the time you found a worm in your office and tried to figure out where it came from. Obviously, you need to still maintain boundaries with your students, but there's a lot of personal stuff that isn't really that personal that students will respond favorably to. It's well documented that students in large lectures tend to feel anonymous. They think that you won't miss them if they aren't there, and honestly, they're not wrong. It's hard to tell whether students are attending regularly if you have a lot of them and if you haven't learned who each of them is. Obviously, if you can see your students as individuals, it will reduce anonymity. But short of that, there are things that you can do. Here are some strategies. Try incorporating attendance-taking exercises in your class. For example, a Microsoft Forms quiz with a QR access code. You project the code and the students take the quiz or survey. You can even get live projection of results. Forms generates an Excel file with students' names, which is kind of like clickers. You can also use something like Kahoot or other external programs, but those come with a lot more hassles from the university IT department because they aren't necessarily approved technologies. You may also begin contacting students if you notice that they're missing class. Try engaging students more in small group learning during class time. This builds peer relationships, which incentivizes attendance, because there's somebody who will miss them if they don't come, and perhaps there's somebody that they're looking forward to chatting with. It can increase self-esteem and psychological health because of the social interaction, and it can increase the depth of learning and retention of information because students are actively engaging with the content and having an opportunity to process information that they're receiving. Anonymity and passive consumption of a lecture can also contribute to electronic and other distractions, whether it's watching TikTok videos or a side conversation or notes that students write to the person next to them. These keep them from fully focusing on achieving learning outcomes. There are some strategies you can engage in. The most important is to break up your lecture with active learning opportunities. You can do this every 10 minutes or so, and that will keep the students focused during the lecture, but it will also give them a bit of processing time and an opportunity for a break from new content or ideas. Some examples include think, pair, share activities, in which you pose an interesting question related to the lecture that may include application or expansion of something just taught. Students spend a minute or so thinking it over, then partner with another student nearby to discuss it. Then they share their thoughts with the class as a whole. This can help with engaging students to speak because they sort of work up to it as part of the process. You can have a muddiest point activity. This allows students to consider what you've been lecturing about, but then list the thing that is least clear to them. This can be a great activity with a word cloud app, showing themes and helping you to better understand what your students are getting and what they're not getting. Quizzes. This is straightforward. These can be open note to ensure that students are recording materials properly from the lecture, and they can also give you attendance data. Another option is to have students summarize the main points of the lecture so far. This is a great way to ensure that they're getting from the lecture what you want them to be getting from the lecture, and so that you can make adjustments based on what the results are. All these strategies have been shown to be effective ways to engage students in large lectures. They improve attendance and student learning. And that's this week's teaching tip, brought to you by the Center for Inclusive Teaching and Learning here at UWSP. Remember, at CITL, we offer support for course design, learning activities, assessment, and pedagogy. Visit our website to schedule a consultation today.